All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is March 11th, 2017, and this is a Saturday morning webinar. And the title of today's webinar is Introducing Great New Features on Object Trader. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we might have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to show you something here real quick. Bear with me a second. If I can get this to stretch out. You're hearing my audio, right? Everybody else hearing audio? Okay, yeah. Sounds like, Walter, are you still not hearing it? If you're not hearing it, obviously you won't be able to answer me. Let me tell him real quick to log out and back in. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, with this chart right here, just real quick, what is the overall trend on crude oil right now? You know, just looking at this chart so far, it's major down, isn't it? Now, it doesn't mean that we can't take some of these trades, you know, up, for instance, when they break. You know, we do that all the time, right? But if you look at the overall trend of oil for about the past, look at that, just down in a big way, right? So each time, now everybody knows how we do our identified lightning, right? You know, for instance, if we're looking at the longer term trend, we've got a thrust down, we've got a retrace. We got a thrust down, break support. So obviously this is an identified peak, right? And then of course it thrusts down, pulls back up, takes out the low, and that's an identified peak. Okay. Now it started heading up when it broke up through here, and you got a nice little move, but did it take out this peak that was identified? And the answer is no, right? So, you know, overall, the thing has really been heading down, hadn't it? Now let's look at it now, just right where it's at. Okay, everybody see that? Now what I like to personally do, and I purposely chose this because yesterday I traded this oil right here. I want to show you how to kind of trade it, and with the new features on Object Trader too, because let's see, even Dan's saying there's no sound. Everybody else is hearing sound, right? Y'all type in a yes if you hear my sound. Yeah. Let me just put in the chat box again real quick. If there's no sound, be sure to restart. Bear with me 1 second. All right, I just sent that little message there just in case, because we got to get this going, okay? Lots, yeah, everybody's hearing. Yeah, sometimes they need to just make sure they select new hardware. That's why they do that little test and everything, okay? But let's go ahead and go over this chart, and what I want everybody to do is kind of tell me what you would do in a situation like this and where you would mark on your chart. Anybody? Anybody got an idea where you want to mark on your chart? Okay, I agree with you. Let's put a line here. That's a swing, right? Draw a line at the high and low. That's correct. All right, that's pretty much the low right there, isn't it? Okay, a line at let's see, a line at 80 and a line at 30. Well, yeah, now for your little consolidation patch we're in now, we need to draw some more lines too, right? So we're going to draw across there at 80 and across there at 30, 32, right? So this is actually the range that we're in right this very moment, right? And you've got to be able to either trade this, or as Charles even says, lots of times, you may even want to stay out of it. Okay? But there are ways to trade this. Okay? And there's ways to do, some pretty decent little scalping and things like that. Now, what I like to do personally when I see something like this is I'll actually take a trade either direction. Okay? And if you do that, some people were asking, well, how do you do that, like with Object Trader, to give an example? Well, let me pause the screen for a second, and I'm going to put a second chart up here also, and we'll just do just that. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually trade. If we can do it, bear with me a second. Let's get this down a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring up Object Trader. All right, and then I'm going to go over a lot of the features and things like this on Object Trader, because one thing you do not want to do is you don't want to just go crazy and just start clicking these little buttons here and stuff like that with your live account. Okay, you got to be real careful, because I'm going to explain how to use these, and there's going to be some things added to Object Trader very shortly that'll even automate it even more. Okay, this is the type of stuff that clobbers you, Mindy. This is the type of stuff right here that anytime you see this going on like this, you absolutely just want to scalp. Okay, I don't think you should try to go for big amounts and things like that. Now, you might have one chart that you possibly do. Now, to me, when you're in this chop like this, notice how you're not even touching these predictors. Okay, that's pretty pretty sideways choppy, but these predictors are pretty good little tools to use, and that's the new addition that's going to be coming to Object Trader in about the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm hoping it's quicker than that, but I'm going to give it that timeline, because what I like to do, and a lot of people like to do, is if they come into these predictors and out of the predictor, then fire a trade, and we're going to have Object Trader do that automatically. Okay, let's see, you meant to turn off only manual to turn it on region, Chris. Oh, I'll show you all that. Just keep that question in mind, because I'm going to show the parameters on Object Trader. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead now. What we've got here is we've got a little bit of a, totally sideways. Okay, we've got a low here, a high here, a higher low, and the same high. But with our new tool, we do have a feature that we can use called the wedge trade. And let's just see if we can get a little scalp on this. We'll just simply go for, I don't know, let's just go for 7 just for the fun of it. Let's just see if we can get something with 3, and we'll go to wedge. Okay, now notice when you turn it to wedge that everything goes off here on your long enabled, short enabled. The reason for that is because that's a live line now. You don't want it to be live with your live account unless you know which way you're going to turn that thing on. Okay, so that's very important. Now, if I put another wedge up here, let's say that I just drew something, I don't know, like even that, say, for instance, okay, and I decided if this thing pops up, maybe I want to go ahead and take a long. Okay, but if I did that, I would just simply turn both of those on. Okay, and then I would wait for either the close below, get a scalp, or I'd get a close above and get a scalp. Okay, now if you want to do it a different way, you can actually just simply, we're going to take a short if it breaks this, and we're not going to take this side until we get a predictor. So let's turn on an Object Trader on it. And while I got the parameters up, I'll show Chris and some of y'all where some of these things are, even some old things that are in here. Okay, like right up in here, you'll notice that you have stop and reverse set at false. That means that if you set that stop and it hits it, it's not going to reverse your trade. Okay, if you wanted to set this to where it would reverse every time you stop, you could do that. You just simply hit true here and clear stop on reverse at false. Okay, you don't want to clear it if you want to keep using it. The way we defaulted it though was like that, because stop and reverse, you don't want to just hit stop and reverse a trade. What if you're in a long trend and you barely get wicked in and then the thing goes to the moon? Well, you don't want to go against trends that much, right? but you can set this any way you want it. And I'll probably get this set up with some kind of parameter on Object Trader before it's over. Now, Chris, on your question, right down here is where start long enable is set to true and start short enable is set to true. Now, the reason we did that is because the region, you really want to kind of get ready to go like we do boxing it in at the open and things. But if you want to set that to where those always disable, just simply set them to false like that. And when you start Object Trader, let's just go ahead and change it to false so that we get rid of this. And then we'll change this to true. And then we'll click OK. And you'll notice that region, oh, I must have turned one of them off. Bear with me a second. I think I hit the wrong thing. Bear with me 1 second. Start short enabled. Oh, start Object Trader enabled. You really want to have that true. And this would be false right here if you don't want long enabled or short enabled when you start the strategy. So let's go ahead and do it again. There you go. See, your region is now set to be long disabled and short disabled. And if you set that as your default, of course, it's going to remember that forever, until you change it. Okay, we'll go back to set it false. And see, those are set at false, and all you'd have to do is right-click and set that as your default. Okay, and it'll remember those settings all the time. And remember, you can also save templates. You can save a particular template a template that you like for CL, for TF, or whatever, and just simply save it, name it, and then you can load it from this one right here. Okay, and you can remove templates with this right here. Now, when you set a template, anything you set in these parameters, it will remember, and you just simply call up the template that you want to use that particular morning or day or whenever you trade. Okay, so that's how you disable that, Chris, and everybody else. You just simply turn on long enabled to false, short enabled to false, and then it will start up your strategy with those off. Now, if I wanted to trade this, obviously, I'd want to turn them on if I wanted a region set up, right? Okay, so what we're going to do on this chart, we're going to look for a little predictor, but we're going to let this do any kind of retracements first. So we're not going to set up a trade on this yet, because right now we've got a line drawn, and if I took a breakout trade, this would literally be filled at probably 74 or so, and maybe hit 80 or 78 or something. Not worth it. Okay, so we need a retracement, before we ever get this trade. Okay, we'll set this one, and we'll watch the prices and see which one we get. Now, when Object Trader gets its final facelift, you're going to have another object in here called Predictor PM, and it's going to look for a trade down here for a long and up here for a short, but not looking obviously for this one because it's blue. Okay, we've got trend-specific things built into Object Trader now, and we're going to leave it to where you'll be able to choose to short it up here if you want. You'll be able to choose to just buy it at the bottom either way. Now, I have found, let me just show you a couple of things here. I have found that this works pretty well, okay? To give you an example, let's say that you were, well, this is green here, so you'd be looking for a green, never came here and never came here. Took this one out, PM trade would have fired roughly right through here and got you a nice little trade, okay? That'll be an auto trade. You're going to be able to set it within X ticks. So for instance, if it got down here, let me get rid of this for a second. See, that came within 1 tick. No, it actually hit it. So if you had this set for within 1 tick, that would have fired that trade also, if you wanted it. Now, you're going to be able to choose whether you're going to be able to do a PM trade or even just a bar close trade. And you'll just simply go with your object type down here on this little drop down. Now, everybody's got this drop down now, okay? You've got region, bar close, PM1, which is your lightning 1, power meter 1 trade. PM2 is your power meter 2 trade, lightning 2. And this is the old ray, okay? Sniper is still the horizontal lines just like it always was. We may take it out. Time trade, of course, I think we're going to probably take that out. And then wedge is simply your wedge type trade, which is like a ray line. Let's see, did the new scripts go out yesterday, Hardy? Yes. Did you not get them? Let's see, Claude. Tried PM with auto PM bar close with replay. Had a problem with charts. Would not be updated. Can you tell me a good replay data provider? Well, marketreplay.net's real good. Yeah, if anybody didn't get it, just be sure, even right now as I'm speaking, send an email to viperlicensing@vipertradingsystems.com, and Linda will make sure that you get that. Okay? All right. The new script is called Object Power, I think it is. Just one second. I've got a little remove ninja script here. That's the old one right there, so that's not the one I want. I may have gotten rid of the other one. I'm not sure. Yeah, I probably did. It's on the website. Okay, but the new one is not 0901. It's actually 0310, which is yesterday. Okay, just send an email to viperlicensing@vipertradingsystems.com, and Linda will get that out to you. And even after the room closes, just one at a time, I'll be more than happy to just do a team viewer and I can put them on for you. Okay, yeah, check your emails because we sent the email out yesterday. Okay, but I'm going to show you how you can actually trade in some of this chop, and when Object Trader gets automated with these last 3 trades that I want to add, I think we'll have us a little trader that'll make us all some money. I'll be available later this afternoon too, Dan, just not too late. I like to enjoy my Saturday a little bit too, but easily to around 4 or 5 o'clock Central. Okay. All right. So everybody understand that? Let's go over some of the parameters again, just real quick with Object Trader. Anytime this is grayed out, if you want to change anything, you have to set this to false. Apply it, and then this all turns black. Okay? And you can change anything you want to change. Okay? Now, I personally like my start enabled as true, so I'm going to set that as my default. Okay? If you wanted anything else turned on, obviously you can do these too. All of these parameters can be set the exact way that you want them to be set. Font is too big on the auto PM required trend, auto LE buttons. Can I change this? That's a good question. I'm not actually sure if you can or not, if these texts will do it. If not, I'll get the programmer to add that. You're talking about the one on the box itself? This one, when we put the strategy into play? Like this, too big? You don't have to send a new licensing ID when you put the new scripts on. Windows, it's not Windows saying contact the vendor, it's actually NinjaTrader, but all you have to do is restart NinjaTrader. We've got them set for 10 days anyway, and then Linda turns them on for you being a member. So if you get that licensing error, just simply restart Ninja and you'll be fine. Okay? All right, now this is actually a little trade that I actually set up yesterday on oil on my son's account. And what I actually did is I just simply waited for this to retrace. See, we're not even near our predictors yet. So let's start this up. I want to show you a couple of things. Bear with me a second. Where's my replay deal? There we go. I'll set this at about 10 or 20 times just so we can get some movement. Maybe not quite that quick. That's fairly quick. Now notice that little predictor showed up there? See that predictor showed up in real time right there? Now couldn't I get ready to take this trade? This is a predictor trade. All right, let's just go ahead and see if we can get a PM trade. Okay, and PM meter is red. I don't know why, just one second. Bear with me one second. Oh, I know what I did. Just one sec. I got to fix this. Bear with it 1 second. Let me get rid of. All right, just one sec. That's one thing about Market Replay. When you start it from scratch, it's like literally a new session or something like that. So let's go ahead and start this over. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my PM trader. Okay, and I'm looking for a green predictor, right? So I'm going to actually look for like a long trade. And let's just see if we can get something. I'll speed this up to about 6 or so. Show you how the PM works. Let's see, is predictor trade and power meter trade the same thing? No. Power meter is actually lightning. Okay, lightning is when you get the zigzag effect. Okay, see for instance you have a high, a low, a lower high right here. This would have actually fired a short if you had PM turned on short. Okay, now right now we're just kind of chopping around a little bit. Let's just see what we get here. So you do not need the boxes checked. What the boxes checked, Mindy, on your question, that would be if I wanted to do auto PM, to give an example. If I was going to do auto PM, then it would look for every single power meter trade to the long side. You probably don't want to just turn that on willy-nilly. We just put that in there so that you could have that ability. Okay. For instance, like what if it does a little thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace? Maybe you could add contracts. See what I mean? So you can turn that on and leave it on. Okay. I'll go ahead and turn it on and show you what it'll do. Okay, now notice that this says auto bar closer PM trades. That's telling me that this is in auto mode. Now everybody remembers auto mode. In auto mode, it can add as many contracts as you have under here under your max contracts. I've got mine set at 15. If you want that different than that, I think when we set it out, we put it at 5. Is everybody set at 5 or did we put it at 10? Do you remember? But be sure and change that right away as a matter of fact. Okay? Because this, you don't want, let's see, some say 5 and some say 10. That's weird. It's the same script. It should be. Now on the little email that I sent, it said 5, but I think it was set at 10. But check yours and make sure what it is set at the maximum quantity. Okay, because that's important. If you don't ever want to go 15 contracts, then don't turn on auto and let it do it. Okay, because 15 contracts, you get 12 ticks on the wrong side of oil, you'd be down $1,800. Okay, so you don't want to do something like that. You know, just set this. We can't set it now because we've got the auto trader, object trader going right now, but be sure and set that to what you want your maximum to ever be. You know, that way if you get in scale in contracts, it won't go over the amount you tell it to. I'll demonstrate that here in just a few minutes too, okay? See, we still haven't gotten a trade yet. Notice we're right at predictor. By the way, this new predictor that we're going to be predictor PM trade, it will actually have taken that trade right there when that bar closed above this line right here, because it'll be looking for that trade. And it hadn't closed above it just yet. It might have. Yeah, it did too. It closed right above it right there. So you'd be in the trade. You'd be feeling a little bit of heat. Now the PM trade hasn't fired yet. Now you'll have a PM predictor trade and you're going to also have a bar close predictor trade. Okay, now PM should fire pretty shortly, but it will wait for that to turn green and for lightning to change directions. Right now, lightning is thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust. You know, you've got a swing right above here that should more than likely change that green. We'll see if it does. The auto LESE PM only, Alex, what that is it will automatically go turning on the LE and SE, which is your long enabled, short enabled. And for instance, the auto LESE will actually, let's say that you had PM set for power meter 1 and this happens to fire a trade. Okay, well if you had short on also, then if you had this turned on, it would literally leave these alternating long. There's your long trade, by the way. Okay, I usually just get one target out of the way. Okay, your stop's going to stay. I've got mine set at 17 for this webinar, mainly because what I like to do personally is once this breaks enough, I'll go ahead and go to like a break even, a couple of ticks underneath it, and exit on close. Okay, so we're in a trade. We've got 4 contracts, right? Now what this will do, if I had this set on auto PM, this will actually, if this comes down again and then breaks again, let's say we get a red. Now we may not, but if we get a red power meter, that's going to add 4 more contracts. So maybe I don't want to do that, just maybe add 2. Let's see, when you select trend specific, what determines the trend? Lightning 3 or 4? Mindy, the thing that determines the trend is the midband. The midband is blue, the lime color, or the yellow. It's only going to look for longs if you're in that auto mode in the required trend PM. Okay. And of course, if it's short, it will be either red, magenta, or that rose color. Yeah, so if you want to use that, then both LD and SD have to be enabled on which one, Alex? No, I'll show you. It'll actually turn itself on and off. It's pretty cool. Let's see, if you use auto, do you recommend changing the stop to 20? Well, anytime you get a breakout trade, you got to have more of a stop than 12. They'll get your 12s just right and left because that is a breakout trade. No matter how you slice it, that's a breakout trade. Because what's it doing? It's breaking out above this swing, right? If you draw your trend line, you know, see, pretty much right through here is where it fired right there. Okay? So that's definitely a breakout trade. Now, if I wanted to actually take some coin on this, obviously I could do that, right? So what I could do is I could simply, if I get a bar closed down, maybe I want to take some off, but I've already got 2 contracts taken off, so I'm pretty good. Okay? There you go. Now you got 1 contract left. But watch how this auto PM will do, because I did this yesterday. And like I said, that was with my son's account. And so what I'm looking for, now notice how they hit the top, little double top, and they're trying to retrace a little bit. Okay, now they haven't turned red, so we're not adding anything just yet. We'll go ahead and go 3 if it happens to do it. Now that shouldn't it? Well, didn't take out the low. Let's see if it will. Will this turn green? We're going to find out. Because if it does, PM1 should take the trade. Yeah, we don't have the short on. Now you could actually have taken, there you go, you got your PM meter changed to red. So where is it going to fire the trade? Right above there. If we don't get taken out, period. We'll find out. Now notice we got $290 and we've got a runner going. Okay, we're willing to give up. Our stop's at 11. Power meter turns green. We'll add 3 contracts again. There you go. Okay. We know that we've got resistance at 50.15 because we drew our lines on the chart, right? So you want to fade that a little bit. All right. And then what you just simply do is you ride your trade. That's how to use the auto feature on it. Notice, Mindy, on your question from earlier, how basically what I did is I just, I got a couple of contracts, they got taken off, and something wrong with my targets. That's because I have exit on close on. We still haven't fixed that. If you just simply take exit on close off, it'll have the right amount of contracts. See, quantity 1, quantity 2, so that's a total of, now we just added, let's see, yeah, it's still our 4. So we have 2 on right now. Okay, now obviously now we'd be wanting to move our stop. That little trade yesterday, for some reason, when that some kind of information came or whatever on oil yesterday, that was a quick move. Okay, now like I said, if your targets are off like that, all you got to do is turn off exit on close. I'm going to be sure and talk to him. It'll always be right with your broker to begin with, you know, but the targets need to be updating also. Okay, see there, 2. Because what this is doing, it's actually, you know, going with the basically the totals that were added with the little pullbacks and things like that. Now we've got a pretty nice little trade going right now. We've got support right under here. Okay, and I'd probably put my stop just underneath there, like that. Okay. And we may get stopped out and we may not. Now notice that if this does happen to go red, I'll go ahead and put the stop a little lower. If this happens to go red, it will fire 3 more contracts if this takes out that top. Now if you've had a thrust like this, you might want to turn that auto off. It's entirely up to you, but you know, we've got major resistance up at 15. We already looked at our chart, looking to the left to trade the right. But that's how you use like the auto part of it. Now I'm going to back this up here in just a minute. I'm going to show you how to use the bar close one, okay? Because that can be a pretty nice little feature too. Let me just let this trade go ahead and pan out. I'm pretty sure we should get there to that top. You've got a floor right under here, like so, and they're trying to wick it. See if they'll bounce up one more time. And then look at your, like a Renko chart too. See your Renko? Now you did go ahead and come down. You had a bar close down, so you could get out of that trade totally if you wanted to. Okay? If you wanted to. Because the larger chart, see how those bars went straight up, straight up, straight up, straight up like that? Usually when you use larger bars like this, if you get this first rollover bar and it takes out like this wicked one right here, I would probably close that trade out. Unless this pops up above that line and we get one more little shot. Okay? Which a lot of times you will, because they try to pull back a little bit and then they'll pop it back up. So PM works only 4-range bars. No, PM will work on any size bars that you want, Jan. But you're going to want to play with your, you know, your particular way of trading and, you know, get it accordingly. Okay, because, well, to give an example, let's say that you were using this setup right here, thrust, retrace, and not filling until that bar for a long. See what I mean? That's a PM trade. See, thrust, retrace, higher low, higher high takes out the swing. If you set it on 4-8 object trader Renkos on your Lightning 1, that's the trade it would take. Okay? Now that to me is a real breakout trade. Okay? We'll trade this in just a minute. I want to show you how to use the new bar close feature. Now max quantity is by chart or by account. Max quantity can actually be set on each and every chart that you have, Kenneth. You know, for instance, if you wanted NQ to have a maximum of 10, but oil to only have a maximum of 5, you just set templates up. Let's see, right now you only have long on PM. If you wanted to do the reversal, would you put both SE and LE and reverse? Now, yes. Now, what you can do in a case like that, if you want to set it for PM and even reverse it, to give an example, you want to try that and see what we get? All right, we're on, well, we already reversed, unfortunately. See, because power meter's already reversed. We'll see if we get another pop-up. We still haven't added to our little trade just yet. Oops, sorry about that. It will if it takes out this swing right here with a close. Do you want to add? That's going to turn green. See there? You just added some contracts. But you want to take it short, for instance, if PM changes. Just turn this on, this on. This has nothing to do with long outside or short outside or inside, any of this. Okay, this is strictly a PM trade. These don't count. This is for regions and wedge. Okay, your raise, your sniper, things like that. PM trade is a lightning trade. Okay, not that I would take this trade here, but I'll just show you how, if we don't take out 15, how it will reverse. We'll watch it in real time and see when it reverses. Why would you need reverse turn on? Would it take it if PM's turned red? Well, Mindy, on your question though, if you just turned on short without reverse, then it would just take your trade off the table. See, we've got 4 contracts left, so we'd need to set this to at least 4 if this was to turn red. But if we want to reverse it, we turn that on. See, in other words, if you've got, say, 4 contracts long and you want to take 4 contracts, short, you're basically going back to 0, right? But if you reverse it, you're taking those 4 off plus selling another 4. And we're going to do this just to show it. I probably wouldn't take this particular trade, okay, because the trend is long. But we'll go ahead and do it just for the fun of it, just to see if it works. See, the power meter's still red, still green, so it's not going to fire that reverse until it turns red. I'm going to get the stop out of the way so that we can get a reverse trade. Okay, we've got 4 on, 3 and 1. You want to just do it for a, since it's like a scalp, we can do that. We'll do it like that. Like 5 and 7, something like that. How's that? Reverse it for a quick. Now keep in mind, if that takes out this swing, you're going to be getting a heck of a breakout trade. See, because that's where it's going to fire it. See how, the one thing about lightning, notice that there's no lightning here. See, it's thrust down, there's no lightning. If you would have thrust down, retraced, and then popped, you would have gotten short. This is a very, very risky trade when it does this. I probably would not do that trade now because it's right at support, isn't it? It is at support, right? Yeah, that would be, almost a dumb trade. Now, if it would have done like a little thrust, little pullback, and then broke, we could have gotten our 5 ticks. But if you see something like this happening, you want to turn this off and that off. Okay? Because for lightning to work, remember the old rule of thumb on lightning? You have to have this action like this. You have to have a thrust. You have to have a retrace. And then when it breaks that swing is when it actually fires the trade. Like that. So would this fire that trade? No. Because that doesn't have any kind of a retrace in it. This is yellow bar probe so far. You want to just stick with the trade for a minute? Now that this is actually turned red, I could turn this back on and see if we get a green pop and then a rollover. You could do something like that. Now, I would have stopped this trade out by now, obviously, because 92 was taken out. But let's just see what it'll do. Everybody getting an idea of what this script will do for you? I don't want to get it complex, but I also want to get Object Trader to where it can fire some trades that we're all looking for. Okay? This trade right here, to give an example, you know, scalping them even. Never got a trade down here. This one, remember, we said you got right in through here, you got a trade. You know, when we put out the new PM or the predictor PM trade, it's only going to look for these predictor trades. And when you turn on required trend, it's going to say, okay, I'm not looking for shorts. I'm looking for this long. I'm looking for that long. No trade, maybe. If you had it offset too much, no trade here. Hit a predictor here. Fired the trade right there. Got a trade. No predictor, no predictor. Short, fired the trade. Got a scalp. Nothing else. This predictor would have fired. It depends. Like, for instance, if it takes out the predictor, we may have some logic built into it where it won't even try to take that trade. Okay? Because, you know, when it takes out predictor to the upside on a white one like that, it's usually changing trends, and that's what it ended up doing. But I think it'll turn out to be a pretty good trade for you. Okay, I'm going to show you how to use the auto LESE, and we're not going to care about the P&L. I just want to show you how it triggers. Okay, and keep in mind the P&L is not as important as what I want to show you how the LESE auto will actually work. For instance, with required trend, if you had this turned on with required trend and auto LESE, this would actually take every single trade that was with the particular trend, PM trades. Okay, so it would turn off shorts because this is a long trend. See it, green or yellow or blue? It would totally turn it off. Now, when this changed to red, it would turn the long off and it'll change it to short. Now, the beauty of that's going to be when the next release comes out is we're looking for this trade. Remember your predictor trades? So would you want to take this trade against the trend at all? You know, like up here, short? No. But you're going to look for these green ones, green one. When it finally breaks these green, let's say, for instance, if we, you know, happen to break down, this doesn't look like it's trying to take out tops anymore. Could we get a breakdown? Well, we could, right? Because that was kind of a medium swing right there. Okay, we're getting a yellow bar probe. Now see if we can, well, we've already got 4 contracts on. We better not add any more. Let's see, how does the wedge trade work? I can't seem to get it to fire. I have wedge selected at LE green. Peter, let's take a look at that. Okay. We'll do a wedge trade next. You want to just do a wedge trade real quick? All right, we'll do that. Let's go ahead and close it out. Let's do a wedge trade. I like to usually get rid of all my lines and everything. We'll turn on wedge. Be sure and don't have reverse on. And we're going to look for a long, and we're just going to do a scalp. Let's see if it'll work. See if we can get a scalp. That's not what I want. We'll do both ways just in case. Now, I usually like to go a little bit under, simply because if they decided to break down, you know, I might just want like a little scalp or something. And I find that a 45-degree angle works pretty well. Let's see, we'll be around 3 for some issues. Sure, Tom, I'll be around. Just go to our contact link, and my phone number is right there on the page. And of course, I'm on Skype and email. You want to see which other one, Mindy? Yeah, yellow bar probe, Claude, on your question, this is actually a yellow bar probe right here. See, this is coming down a little bit deeper, so our bars turn yellow. Okay, we're not looking for a PM trade now. We're looking for a break above that line. Okay, and our LE, and we got our SE on this one. So this will be a short outside if it breaks, and it'll be a long outside if it closes above. See if we get something. Oh, the reversal, Mindy, on your question. Yeah, we're not in a trade right now, but I could actually show you a reversal. This will be posted today, absolutely. Let's see, but the best trades start out in the circle of the predictor. Absolutely, Jan, on your question, I believe that 100%. Now, they will finally give up the ghost, right? But when they do, what color do they turn? They'll turn the opposite color. And then you're looking for the opposite color trade, right? Well, I'm going to have to speed this up a little bit. This is not doing anything slow. We'll speed it up to about 10 times. Now here in just a second, I want to show you the bar close feature on here. That should have actually fired. You're right. I'm not sure why that didn't. See if we can fire it like this. Yeah, I didn't turn it. That's a good question. Maybe even if you're going up, it turns green and red for the going down. Let me check something here real quick. So that would be our short line. Let's try it and see if it'll fire. We don't necessarily want that trade, but it should fire. I used this thing all day yesterday with my son's account and mine, and everything fires perfectly. Market replay, not always. There you go. It may have been that we actually had our ray on the chart before we changed this to wedge. I'll have to ask my programmer on that. I am not sure on that. Yeah, if you run into that, by the way, I mentioned that this is a little bit more of a beta because we're still all testing it. Now, one thing that I've found is that if you actually move the ray, once you set the wedge, everything works perfectly. So you tried the ray and it worked. Yeah. See, it's more than likely this this deal that we've got here with the market replay. Let's see if it'll fire again. Should fire on the close of that bar. 4 more contracts. Yeah, it did. So, yeah, I'm not sure on that. It may just be the market replay part. Oh, look at that. Got our targets and everything. Let's look for another trade. Y'all want to? Let's see if we can get another trade with wedge. Now we've got a magenta. So if you were using this PM tool, by the way, this would not fire a trade long. I'll show you how this works. Let's say that we want to do a PM trade. All right, and we're going to do it in required trend. Okay, and this is actually going to look for the trade. Let me see if it'll do it automatically real quick. Auto LESC will turn on. If this turns green, we should get the meter clicking, so to speak, for another short trade if it rolls over. Now, if it keeps on trucking down, we won't get it. Should turn green anytime. See if we get a green. We may not get a green. We'll find out. Usually you do. There's your green and there's your red. All right, so we're in the trade. And let's see what we get here. Now, what this is doing right now, this is actually looking only for this short trade on this PM. Okay, and notice that if I even try to turn long on, it won't even turn on. See there? I can't click it on because it's looking at the trend only. Now, we added that to Object Trader for one reason, and that was mainly so that you would have the ability when this new feature comes out with the predictor that you'll be able to choose to only take, for instance, with the trend. Now, probably wouldn't have fired these trades. PM did, but notice that didn't even get into the predictor at all. Okay, you could set an offset and you get the trade anyway. Okay, but let me show you. We'll see if we can get an actual good trade on predictor, because I like them when they go closer to mid-band. Let's see if we can get it. And we'll go ahead and put our stop up here just in case this thing goes against us. Let's see, you don't need to check the top box auto PM bar close. No, well, the auto PM or bar close would be where it will keep firing these trades like this if you do turn that on. For instance, if this goes green, it would just keep firing them, and that could get you up to your maximum contracts too. Okay, here we go. We're getting a little bit of so we got 4 in. Okay, it's only going to look for shorts because we've got longs turned off. Now I'd like this trade right in through here. Mid-band, there's a predictor. Parameters green. Now this, like I said, this is where it'll get you into those max contracts, because we're going to have 8 here in just a minute. If this rolls over, see the green? Now remember, if it doesn't do a little thrust retrace, if this went straight down, it would never fire that trade. That's the only thing bad about PM. See there? Now this should fire now. See, it's done a bar up and should get a close. Well, didn't change the meter, so I guess we're not in. That green was 5 or 10 ticks there. It fired it again right there. See, you did have 8. Now you've got 6. So it was looking for a different lightning. Now keep in mind, lightning is actually, the little thrust retrace. This might not have qualified. Okay, notice how we're in 6. Okay, if we want to stay in 6, obviously that's okay. We've got our max set up at 15. Well, if you've got your max set at 15, this could actually fire 15 trades. Okay, now let me show you how the max actually works. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and we're going to go instead with bar close. Let's turn PM off. Go ahead and get our bar close, and I'm going to put it in auto mode, but we're only going to go 2 contracts at a time. It's only going to take this doesn't count anymore. That's bar close only. Now when I use bar close, what I would recommend doing is simply see how that keeps adding? See there? It just keeps adding to my trade. I've got 6 contracts in now. It goes up, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Bar close down again, you'll get 2 more. See there? Now I would probably put my stop just right above that swing just a little bit, like so. All right, now we're flat. Now we're back in. See how auto can do? See there? But notice I've got 12 contracts now. That'll eat your account up fairly quick. That's why we mentioned now you got 15. See what I mean? So you got to be careful using like an auto bar close. We had people wanted that feature. Now what I'd recommend doing that feature on would be this bar here. Like this. Let's say you did 1 contract, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That would be 15 right there. Okay, so that's why it's important to have your max quantity set at what you want it to be. Okay, really, really important. Let's see, with the auto on, if you have auto LS on, will PM continually trade? Yes, it will. Let me just show you real quick. I don't know why that made my charts disappear. Just a second. Let's go ahead and go back in. Yeah, if you have auto PM on, it'll continue firing that trade. See if I turn that on in auto and even require trend to give an example. It'll keep firing. Notice that we got 15 contracts. That's too many contracts, by the way, especially, when 12 ticks is $1,800. Okay, that's why it's extremely important to have your max quantity set at what you want it to be. Now, I purposely set this at 15 today because I wanted to kind of show, if you wanted to use something like that. Now, let me show you real quick how to use the auto LESE, but we're not going to care if we get a profit or not. I just want to show you how this thing will kick on and kick off. Okay, let's go ahead and close this, and I'm going to go back to like 7:16 in the morning, and we're going to go ahead and look for some more trades. And I want to show you how that works. Bear with it a second. Hopefully we don't lock up. Everybody getting something out of this? This is not so much about teaching where the trade is, although it is a little bit, but it's more about using the tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and show what this would do. And like I said, we're going to probably end up with a negative P&L, but I want to show you how this thing will actually do it full auto. All right, if you did, say, PM, and you did auto, required trend, auto here, and turn both of these on. So you can't turn that one on because it's long only. Notice that? And then we'll just fire it up and I'll show you what we're talking about. See there? That's automatically doing all those PMs. Notice that you got in another one right there. When this goes red, it's going to change direction. Watch this change automatically. See, that went to short. Only looking for shorts. But notice your P&L. So you went negative. Okay. Now, we're not recommending putting it in like full auto mode. Okay. Because that could literally eat an account up. Okay. Let's just watch it for a minute and see what it does. Only looking for shorts. Probably if I hit something like that right there, I might just go ahead and hit close because that's not a bad little morning. Everybody see that? Okay. Now notice how that actually added contracts each and every time. Okay, you're still short, so it's going to look for shorts. See there? And that turned out to be pretty darn good after all. Let's go ahead and close it for just a second. Everybody see what this did? With this auto PM on, I went ahead and closed this, so it shouldn't get into any more. I'll go ahead and turn it off because we're actually short again because I didn't get it turned off. Okay, so you notice what it did. It strictly looked for shorts when it was red, rose, or the magenta color. It'll look for longs only when it changes to that. See there? If you had this on with all that turned on, this would be only on longs right here. Okay? But think about what this can do in the very near future, though, with these predictor trades. Okay? Because to give an example, predictor trade here, predictor trade here, that one probably didn't fire. When you first got this thing, no predictor, 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 predictor that didn't work, predictor that did work, predictor that did work, predictor that might have gotten a scalp, maybe not, another predictor here. Then of course you went predictor here, could have gotten a trade here, could have gotten a trade, and now you're back to white again. So you're looking for shorts. Okay. Now I've run this thing actually on full auto like that for like even days at a time. And I can tell you this, that even that $7,000 right there probably has a good $1,200 in trades. Okay. So I don't recommend just throwing it in auto mode, because if you look at your account performance, more than likely you had a whole bunch of trades. Let me just look and see if we can figure that out. That was on the 10th. Yeah, here. Well, actually, we did a bunch more trades than that. So what the deal is right here, show you here. We did several trades. So you had a $14,475 loss, 18,000 profit, 42.35. Now, I'm not sure exactly why this is at this and this is at this, but see, it did 292 trades too. But notice the profitability of it. If anybody can actually figure the best stop and everything else, I've gotten that actually up to about 80%. But the problem is that you have to keep a little bit looser stop, and then your losers will do that to your account, and you don't want that. 292 trades is like $1,000. Okay. Number of losing trades, see, it was about a third of the trades, basically, right? So, we just ran that in full auto right there just to show it. But like I say, I'm not recommending doing that. Okay. But I do recommend, taking some of these trades. Now, you don't want to take every single trade, just like we do in the room, for instance. Would you want every PM trade on here, or would these have worked the best, the predictor ones? And that's why we're going to add the predictor trade to Object Trader. And I think you'll like it. I wouldn't go crazy with it, because you should be able to scalp it and things like that. Chris is asking, if you turned off auto PM bar close, but you have auto LS on, will it keep trading on PM auto? Well, the way this is done, the bar close does not do the auto trend. See, the trend is PM only, which is your PM trades, and your auto LESE is PM only also. So this would have nothing to do with bar closes. Bar close is just simply, you can turn it to auto on bar close, okay? But it's going to look for literally every single bar close that you've, and I'm going to change this to where you can even use bar close with trend only too, if you want. Let's see, wedge trader is hard but small move. How about the OT Ranko? Well, Ed, on your question, I would say that would probably do a much better job on that. To give an example, let's go to larger chart, and I know I'm running a little bit over. Let's see, which one's 4? We had one that, there's 4.8 Ranko right there. Yeah, looking at this, for instance, let's say that you were watching this in real time, okay, and it broke down and you got your red background. Okay, you don't have a trend line there. You do pretty much have one through here. If you're using bigger bars, you're going to have to actually, I personally like to have a good 4 bars at least on the bigger bars. See this right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can usually draw your trend line. If this was happening in real time, that's what it would have looked like. Let's say that you were looking for that retrace right into resistance in the trade, right? Okay. This was only like a 3. I don't like it as much, but you can take them, anytime they get a little thrust, a little pullback, and draw your trend line. Something like that, to get that trade. And of course here you got a thrust, retrace, thrust, so you could draw your trend line more like along the, like that. I don't like that one quite as much, but if you take that trade and you get fired in there, you'd have to put your stop above the swing. Okay, so the bigger bars will help you out a lot. Okay, don't go with too big of bars because you can't really see what's going on. To give an example, like this trade right here, see when this actually came down and did its little thing here, like that was breaking that trend line. See your big thrust, your retrace, tried to take out the tops. You could have fired short on that bar if you wanted to. Now that would be a tough trade for me to take because in real time, that's what you're looking at. Okay, but if you do take that trade like that on that bar close, I probably wouldn't let them close above that little swing right there. Just look for a previous swing, and if it did, I'd probably get out of the trade. Let's see, at the mid-band short, Hardy, on which one? This one here? Yeah, those type of trades are beautiful. Let's look at it in a 4 range real quick. This trade right here and here, yeah, those are excellent trades. See, and what you're looking for anytime, even on the smaller bars, see your thrust, your retrace, your thrust, you can draw your trend line just like this, just kind of go underneath those lows. So you could be fired on that bar. This one here, thrust, retrace, thrust, you could actually draw your trend line like that. You're fired on that bar right there. This one here, thrust, retrace, thrust, lightning. You draw it like that, just under those lows. Okay, these up in here you might not have drawn at all, but it did come into a predictor, so you could have gotten that trade. Here's another one, thrust, retrace, thrust. Remember, I showed this yesterday in the room. And you can see these in real time. See your thrust, retrace, like that, like so, and use the trend line type feature for that. That's why we added that wedge trade to it, because it makes it real easy to use array and to set these. Now you can also set this to do long outside, long inside, short outside, touch plus. All that can be set on this. Okay. Y'all got about 5 more minutes. You want to see that, or you want to wrap? Because I can show you how that little feature works too. Let's see, what is the result with the predictor and PM trades with the trend and percentage? Well, Jan, on your question, if you actually just use the predictor only, or pardon me, the PM trade, I wouldn't recommend it, because we don't take these little rollover trades where they just barely get you in a PM trade. We're looking for deeper retracements like into these predictors, and then I think the percentage will be through the roof. I'll be happy to do that. Y'all want to stick around for just a couple more minutes? Let me just show you how to do like touch plus and all that. We'll set this for like 8 o'clock. Bear with me a second. Hopefully we don't lock up charts. Let it go ahead and load. Yeah, if you think about it, those predictors, if you just get some good trades with predictor, to give an example, they are not bad trades. Remember this trade in the room, we actually got a little scalp. Remember where it came into predictor? This was right at the open, and we got that little trade right there. Remember? But then we also shorted it right underneath here. This was actually the data that was in the room yesterday, right there. And remember, I even mentioned in the room that you might want to wait for the thrust and the pullback. So what actually happened in real time? It thrust down, it pulled back. Your trade is always best at, on a short at resistance. Okay. Now when this thrust here and came down and popped back up here, you didn't know that was a short yet. But once it starts taking out, for instance, like phantoms and everything, and you get a thrust down and you get a retrace, that's pretty much when you can tell that they're changing. Okay. So let's go ahead and use wedge trade on that one. Just let it ping around a minute. A little too fast. That's right at the open, remember it? Now, if you were looking at this in real time, do you know that you can actually even use not predictor, but the wedge trade for like an inside trade? To give you an example, let's just do it and see if it works. I'm going to do a ray right across here. Right across here, across my low. And let's say that we want to short that on the wedge. Let's see if this is when it doesn't fire, because I drew the ray before I turned it to wedge. Let's find out. And we're going to do a short inside type trade, a touch +2. Let's see if it fires. Actually, it's the wrong one. It's this one. Sorry about that. You can actually use either button though, did you know that? If you turn this one off, this actually will do the top button and it should fire it within 2 ticks of that line. We'll see if it does. Touch +2. It is selected on wedge, right, Mindy? There you go. See there? See where it came to resistance? It fired before it ever touched the line. See there? Now, it may still touch the line, but notice it already fired the trade. So when we draw those lines in the room, for instance, and say, you should hit your head at, 49.71, if you used wedge, you could actually get that little trade, couldn't you? See if we can get it again, just for the fun of it. Because if I turn this on and it comes within 2 ticks and rolls over, see there's now 8. See how that works? Now, I might not want to do that, with my real account, obviously, but I'm just showing you how that doesn't even have to touch that line because the calculation is done on the line itself and it knows where that 2 ticks is also. Okay? What if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to add, not that we would add right now, but let's just for the fun of it. Short outside, touch +2. Not sure why we got a total of 6. I turned that off, didn't it? See if we can get it anyway. Touch +2. And by the way, you can move this in real time. If I wanted to do that, I could even do it, okay? I can even do it by moving the line into the price, where it would be touch +2 outside it, and it looks like it didn't get it. Probably because I would need to see when it's underneath the price, we would have had to use this one here. I forgot about that. So let's do it again just for the fun of it. See there? Just fired that one. See if we can get it again. Touch outside. See how you can keep adding contracts to it? So, you want to be careful, obviously, when these are active because you can keep adding contracts. See, 7 contracts is a lot of contracts, okay, especially when they can go 20 ticks in your face in a heartbeat. So, be careful with the line because it'll do its thing as you move it, okay? And that's something that you'll want to be careful if you turn these on. Notice as it gets into any trade, it turns this back off though, okay? So that's a good thing for it. All right, now, let's see. Let's go ahead and close this one out just for the fun of it. And I forgot exactly what I was going to say. Let's see. Everybody sees though why we want to add this predictor trade, right? Because to give an example, let's say that you happen to choose within 1 tick of that predictor close bar, you could get a scalp a lot of times. Okay, we're going to also have a trade that, instead of an offset, it's going to have to go into the predictor and come out of the predictor to fire the trade. But I think Object Trader is going to really transition into a great little trading system. Let's see. Mindy, you don't actually trust the predictors? They kind of throw you off? Well, the main thing you want to do on the predictors, Mindy, is you want to actually watch them and try not to go against them. For instance, like this right here, this green predictor ended up firing a long trade, didn't it? This predictor green fired a long trade. This predictor green fired a long trade. This predictor green technically fired a long trade for a scalp. This predictor green probably wouldn't have fired if you used PM, obviously, but if you did fire outside, you could have gotten a scalp. We did Friday. And then you changed to actually the white, so it would have fired that trade. So I like the predictors myself. I think they work out superb. The main thing is you don't want to get in late. because you can't have like a 6 or 7 tick stop and have any kind of a breakout trade. Okay? Any final questions before we wrap? I know we're running over. I didn't get to explain every single thing that I wanted to, but we'll go over it on Monday. But watch for about 2 weeks from now. We're going to have a predictor PM trade that'll be added to this. It'll probably just say PRED, PM or something like that, and it'll be an object type. Okay? And also remember that if I even want to fire a market order right now, I can't do it without these turned on. Okay? It's different than it was because we had to get these where they turn on and off. Okay? But if I want to fire a market order on this, let's say for instance I'm right at resistance and I hit sell, nothing happens. But if I turn this on, something will happen. Okay? Let's see, do you use also PM2 trade? Jan, on your question, no. To me, that gets in a little bit late. If you're going to use PM2, I'd highly recommend putting a larger stop and sticking with the overall trend. Also checking to see where resistance is on the longer term trend, things like that. On the blue predictor, do you use bar close to the downside? Well, John, you could, because we're going to turn this thing on to where you can choose it any way you want it. For instance, if you're sideways like this and you wanted to short this predictor, we're going to have this where you can require trend or not require trend on that new predictor trade. So for instance, if you wanted to touch a predictor, fire a trade on a bar close and scalp, never get a trade. Here's another one right here you'd fire. Scalp, you could scalp this way and this way. Yeah, we'll have it that way. So you can choose either way. But keep in mind that when you short a blue predictor, like let's say for instance you did this one here, it went up, bar closed down. Well, it didn't close down out of it, so you might not have gotten it. But if you did bar close only, you would have gotten filled short here and you would have gotten stopped out. But when they first go into chop like this, yeah, I'd probably do either direction. For scalps anyway. See how a predictor trade like that would work perfectly? Get filled on that bar. See, it goes into predictor, out of predictor, target, right? And could that be a nice little trade? Couple $100 easily. Larger bar size, absolutely. You can do that also. But keep in mind the larger bar you use, the more your stop has to be also. And markets whip around a lot. We go long to short every single day. Okay, any final questions? Be sure, and if you check this out with market replay and everything else, just make sure to let me know if you run into any issues. Also, if you want anything changed, because when we get with that programmer this next time around, Object Trader should be a full-grown adult by then, because we're going to add those trades that we all want, and it should be pretty darn good. Okay, we thought about even just the mid-band trade, like for instance, but see, that's also a predictor trade every single time. Predictors end up around these mid-bands, see there? So I think, it's moot to have it on a mid-band only. See, that predictor would have fired right there on that, off she went. Never fired, never fired, never fired, only there. But if you did PM, it would fire here, it would fire all over the place. So that's why we want to add that predictor PM trade. Okay, so anybody needing help with install, be sure and go to our website at vipertradingsystems.com. The contact link, get TeamViewer 9. It has to be 9. If you have a newer version, it won't work. And I'll be happy to help you put the scripts on. Okay, and I'll have the phone right here in the office. Thanks, everybody. Sorry we ran this a little bit longer, but there's a little bit to this, and I wanted everybody to kind of know how to use it. Don't use your live account, unless you're really monitoring it, of course. You can try your live account, obviously, but be very careful and realize that you always want to check your positions. You want to check your account and make sure that everything's the way it should be, because this is a little bit of a beta. We're still testing. Okay. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on Monday morning. Ed, on your question, not a problem. You can just get in touch with me and I can get those put on for you. Okay. If anybody doesn't hear me answer the phone, it's probably because I'm on the phone with somebody else. But, you know, I'll take care of all of you. Just whoever needs it. Thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.